to old school my experience, but this time I'm bringing a certain someone back, and that guy is Gex. Gex the Gecko for the PlayStation, N64, and other systems. Rock and roll, little lizard. Look, stop. Alright, I need to be stopped. But I want to talk about, I feel like it's important for me to talk about my re-experience with Gex 2, Enter the Gecko. So, forever ago on this channel, I have made my experience videos slash mini reviews on Gex 1, Gex 2, Gex 3, Gex 1, Gex 2 for the Game Boy and the PlayStation 1 respectively, right? But this time, I'm making this Gex re-experience through the N64 experience. Just so I can talk about a little bit of the differences and the changes and whatnot and other sort of things, right? So, I want to talk about Gex 2. Alright, so this is by far, okay, the Gex game I tolerated the most. And I remember when I was playing Gex 2 for PS1, you know, I loved the game. I loved that it was styled like Super Mario 64. I love the idea of the premise. Again, that Gex is basically, you know, Gex's gameplay is basically Super Mario 64, but in its own way, in some way, right? That's literally what Gex is. That's literally what he is. And I think that's really cool, you know? But whatever then. Alright. My bad. Kind of cut off for a second. But what I was saying is, like I said, Gex, okay. Why did I even come back to Gex? That's the point of this, right? Why did I come back to Gex? Even though I've made my reviews, I said my thoughts. Think of Gex as Super Mario 64, but a little bit less than Super Mario 64, obviously, right? That's what my opinion was on Gex for a very long time. I still think that way, but now I finally understand why I put Gex down in the first place, right? And I want to talk about that. So, instead of downloading the PlayStation 1 version of Gex, mine's mouth, hey, how you doing? I decided to play the N64 version to see if I can figure around Gex, if I can figure Gex out, if I can play Gex, you know, again, let me play it again to refresh my mind what this game's all about. So, I decided to get the N64 version, just try to find it, and I found it, and I decided to play it. I whip it up, I booted up the intro screen already. The first difference between the PlayStation 1 version of Gex 2 and the N64 version of Gex 2 is the intro. The intro on Gex 2 for the N64, the one I played for this re-experience, because I'm re-experiencing the same game again, just on a different system, a lesser system than the PS1. The intro's like all blue, and with Gex saying, coming through, and with, I think, Rez like chasing him, and then it shows you the logo, and that's it. Or it's just Gex running across it with the logo popping up, and then you press start, and you just load right in, right? And the next difference is that there is no auto-saving and there is no save and continue in this game. You have to save with passwords or you save with you save with controller pack, which in my opinion, I was like, wow, the PS1 was definitely better because at least it gave you an opportunity to save with the memory card. It gave you an opportunity to save with, you know, the long digit passwords. It at least gave you a choice in terms of how you save in this version of the game. At least PS1 gave you an alternative. N64, like I said, only gives you the password stuff where you have to put in multiple digits just to keep your save. And it's like, those saves, I really dislike those type of saves in my video games, bro. I would just appreciate it if it just saved wherever I was so I can come back and continue. So, if you do not remember your password, you have to do a level, like beat the entire level and write down that password for you to save on the N64 version. If you ever do plan on playing Gex 2 for the N64, just for anyone to let everybody know that, right? So that's another difference I noticed. Other than those two differences, There's obviously way more lag. There is missing dialogue for Gex's voice. Whenever he speaks, there's missing sound effects. The N64 version of Gex, for a lot of people, especially if you're playing on original hardware, is probably the worst way to play Gex 2. But since I played it emulated, you know, a lot of those problems didn't occur. And, you know, I didn't really see any lag, see any issues or whatever. So I wasn't really experiencing what N64 Gex Wiki was telling me. Anyways, let's get on with the gameplay, right? So is there any gameplay differences, level differences, all that stuff? No. All the levels from Gex 2 from the PS1 are also here on the N64. That also means the final boss fight is here with Rez. No level design is changed. Nothing is altered. Other than maybe like speedrun strats and how you play the level in terms of doing a speedrun for Gex 2. That is completely different. But other than that stuff, all the levels are virtually the same. Just obviously you're going to have a little bit more lag with your movements if you're playing this on original hardware and all that other sort of stuff, right? So, I was playing through Gex 2, enjoying myself on this experience because, as you guys know, the media dimension music is doom, 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 doom. You know, that theme is really good. That's actually my favorite theme in the entire game, but hey. Also, obviously, you guys know Gex 2 has tons of references to old media. Indiana Jones, Jason Voorhees, aka Friday the 13th, cartoons. It makes jokes about the dinosaur age and all that other sort of stuff. Also, a lot of inappropriate jokes Gex does say, so if you are trying to give Gex 2 to your kid, I don't know if I would recommend that because of just some of the jokes Gex says are have pretty inappropriate innuendos if you can make it up, you know, if you can put the pieces together. So I definitely probably would not recommend this to your kid. Anyways, so I was replaying the game, going through its levels, you know, the Toon level, the Haunted level, the Kung Fu level, the Dinosaur Age level, because in Gex, there is only like 5, 6, 7 different level themes throughout your entire course of your adventure, right? And this game, and don't get me wrong, most of those level themes that Gex 2 does are fun, except for a few exceptions. Rezotopolis, obviously one of the hardest stages in the game, I would argue isn't really all that fun, and the space levels. I remember when I went to the space levels just to re-experience what the space levels did to me, and I won't lie to you guys, I still completely dislike them to this day. Coming back to do those space levels to see what it's like, I even looked at myself, and told myself, I understand you now. I understand why you do not like the space levels, because let me tell you, the space levels and why I dislike them is based entirely off your oxygen meter. And you need to go around beating enemies, breaking boxes all the time to keep your oxygen meter going and to obviously reach the goal and get the remote, right? The remote is basically your power stars in this game. For anyone that didn't watch my original Gex videos and stuff, they wouldn't, you know, get that stuff, right? But anyways, so I remember when I said, nah, I'm not going to do those space levels, you know, because a part of me doesn't want to do it. I also looked up on the side, hey, how many TV remotes do you need to beat the game just to reach the base ending? You need 33 out of 35 remotes. Keep this in mind. You need 35 or 33 red remotes just to reach the end of the game. And there's only 35, meaning you can only miss 2 remotes. You have to collect every single other remote. So for example, if there's a level theme that you do not like, or if there's a level just in general you do not like, let's say this, you decide to leave a space level, right? Because you don't like that said space level. You don't want to deal with having no oxygen. Too bad, because Gex likes to repeat level theme ideas throughout the adventure, like I said earlier. So meaning, let's say this, the first space levels, aka your first 2 objectives in space, you don't want to do that, right? Okay, that's going to come back to bite you later because there's going to be another space level with another set of 3 objectives. There's going to be another toon level with a set of 3 or 2 more extra objectives. There's going to be another set of circuit, like computer sciencey like level. There's going to be repeats of level themes, right? And let's say if you don't like any of them, then you're going to really lose out on the enjoyment. Oh, hi, welcome to stream. You're really going to lose out the interest on this game, in my opinion, because again, if you don't like a lot of the level themes, then you're not going to enjoy this game very long. You're going to enjoy it and see like, oh, it's kind of Super Mario 64, but with a talking gecko that loves saying old phrases and stuff. That's cool. And then you're going to play a little bit until you're bored and you want to get off, or you just want to just end it, right? I remember even on my comeback playthrough with the N64 version of Gex 2, I was feeling done after I collected like 14, 15 remotes, and I said, you know what? I remembered after doing the space level and the res level and the mecha res level and all that stuff, and I wanted to see if I could make it to the end. I wanted to see what the end was like, so I decided to put in a cheat code, a code that gives me all the remotes, all the TV remotes, so I wouldn't have to worry about grinding out levels anymore, because I was genuinely that bored of the game. That's how you know Gex 2, and this is how I say I'm pretty mixed, because again, I was really enjoying it until I wasn't anymore, and I decided to put a cheat in to just kind of get me through the rest of the game. Don't just put me to the credits, give me all the remotes so I can see what levels and bosses I was missing out on, just so I can kind of finish up this game. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys, like I said, the first half of Gex is amazing. Gex 2, getting the vibe, going through the levels, like looking through the levels and the ideas that the Gex 2 had for the first time is phenomenal. But again, once you realize that they're reusing level themes over and over and over and over again and not coming up with new ideas, that's what makes Gex 2, in my opinion, kind of falter in comparison to like other 3D platformers of this genre. Super Mario 64, yes, has some type of reuse. You know, there's 2 snowman levels and stuff, but literally 9 times out of 10, other than the snowman level, every level is unique. There's no reuse. There's no 2 tall mountains. I mean, well, if you want to count Bomb on Battlefield and tall mountain, that's like 2 times. And then, you know, the Whomp's Fortress, that's like 3 times you have to go up their said respective mountain. But either way, that's like repeating an objective, right? Oh, and then not only there's repeated level themes, but I think there's also repeated objectives as well, but just in tweaked different ways. And I'm not going to lie to you. When I looked at Gex 2 and saw that, I said, wow, Super Mario 64 really handled like everything Gex 2 tried to do that much better. I mean, I'm just going to be straight. I'm just going to be honest. Again, don't get me wrong. Gex 2 is a fun experience for the most part, and it is the Gex game that I mainly cared about whenever I decided to play Gex 2. But I'm not going to lie to you, man. Without that cheat code, man, and without my kind of determination to see the end of the game by continuously playing it, like I said, I don't think I would have finished Gex 2 again. I think I would have left it kind of like I did originally. And that's what I wanted to make a difference. I said, you know what? Let me spend some time on Gex. I love Gex. You know, I love Gex the character. You know, I know Gex 3 isn't really, I don't think it is on the N64, I'm not sure, but I would love to give that game a try, you know, but I don't know. Just to me, Gex 2, I wanted to like kind of wake up, re-experience Gex 2, but in a different way by playing it on a different console that I already had, you know. N64 and stuff, just to experience it, just to see if anything's changed. And to be honest, yeah, some things have changed. Like I said, I can appreciate the level design for Gex a little bit more. You know, the music for Gex, for N64 version of Gex 2 isn't too bad. It isn't awful. It's not the worst game I ever played, but I felt like Gex 2, to make a better version of Gex 2, I can't remember if Gex 3 does anything different to fix this, but in my opinion, what Gex 2 should have done is, instead of just creating like 5, 6, 7 level themes, like I mentioned before, the tune, the cartoon world, the circuit world, the, circuit/technology world, the haunted world, the Resopolis world, all that stuff, right? Instead of recreating multiple versions of that, what they should have done was created new levels. Even if it was just one new level. They should never have had so many remotes either in certain stages. They should have had like maybe 10 stages. And each of those 10 stages, they give you a variety of remotes that you can collect. All you have to collect is like 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 out of that set amount of remotes, but make sure each level is unique and make sure all the objectives aren't too repetitive, aren't too bad, aren't too shabby, and whatnot, so on and so forth, right? And I bet you Gex 2 would have been all the better for it. Bye and welcome to stream. I'm doing pretty all right. God bless you, bro. But like I said, because of the reuse of level themes, to me, I remember Gex 2 immediately got boring to me, and I wanted to drop it, but I said, no, I'm not going to drop it. I'm going to see this game through, even if it's through an unorthodox method, even if it is using cheats just to see what the end is like. I want to see what the end is like. So I decided to do just that. Put in a cheat, see what the final boss of Rez is like, and you know what? I haven't talked about him, so let's talk about him. I know I've been repeating myself a lot this review, but I really want to get that point across, that Gex 2 is a pretty alright game, but if you made me choose between Super Mario 64... Excuse me. If you made me choose between Super Mario 64 and Gex 2, I'm picking Super Mario 64 all the way, and it's not even a contest. But anyways, I want to talk about the final boss, Rez, because Rez is also the final villain in Gex 1 as well. I do not like this boss fight very much. For a final boss, for a two-phase boss fight, I really do not like this final boss. And let me tell you why. So, the reason why I do not like Gex's final boss is because it's a two-phase fight. Not because it's hard, but because it's kind of janky and kind of BS with hitboxes. So, in his first phase, he basically laughs at you and spins at you, and then when he hits a wall, he makes himself dizzy. That's when you jump up and tailspin his ass into this electrical barrier thing. And you do this rinse and repeat 3 times while he shoots missiles at you. You also got to run away from those. You do that 2, 3 times, and then you go up to the next phase. The next phase, Rez becomes a giant mecha being, aka, Gex's dad. But hey, we don't know that until like Gex 3, so. But anyways, so Rez over here becomes giant, massive, really, really big. So big that you can't even freaking, so big that basically what you have to do, you can't really just go up and hit him. What you have to do to beat this final boss, like I said, is basically, well, not like I said, but what you have to do to beat him is you run around the arena while he shoots laser beams. He also whiffs his hands, like he basically will slam him down, or he'll do the little spinning shit, like he'll bring his hand over here, over there, all that other sort of stuff, right? He'll do that, right? And then these green toxic barrel-like things will pop up, right? And basically you have to either hide behind it or run past it and make sure Rez hits it in order for something, a giant crate or something to fall on his head. Do this 2 to 3 more times and you beat Rez, and that's it. But let me tell you, that hitbox for his hand slamming down, even if Gex is remotely close when the hand's already near down, not even near down, up here, and you jump or you do anything or you're in its way, it will count as res hitting you, and you have to redo the entire boss from scratch. I think it's either from scratch or you restart that phase. Right? And I remembered I do not like bosses like that. I feel like if you're going to create a final boss, at least make it fair in terms of hitboxes. Yes, this is a Dragon Ball Fighters Goku statue in the background. Yes, it is. My brother got the Dragon Ball Fighters special edition when it came out, so that's how we have that, and also like some illustrations from Akira Toriyama. But anyways, so after that final boss and when I beat him, you know, it... can I have it like Mario 64? Sure, here you go. But, to be real, when I finished him, and I know, like, I should be really, really happy that I beat Rez, you know, that I finally finished Gex 2. Even though it was through unconventional means, I still felt like I finished Gex 2, right? And, you know, I felt like a part of me felt satisfied, but a part of me didn't feel empty, but I don't know, I felt a multiple mixture of things. Because one, obviously, when I went to Rez, you know, straight up, just to see what I'm missing of the game, instead of just going after the other boss, I just kind of went for Rez, because I felt done with the game. And after beating Rez, I felt like I did it. A big part of me did it, right? But a part of me was also like, Gex 3. Part of me is not even sure I want to do Gex 3. Mario is going to do something very illegal. Louis playing Sonic, so if you don't know, Louis playing Sonic the Hedgehog. But Sonic Generations anyway. The Sonic Generations for Sonic X Shadow Generations. But anyways, guys, I felt all sorts of different ways. I felt good. I felt like maybe I should have done more levels, but a part of me was like, nah, you would have been tired of it and fed up and probably stopped playing again. And, you know, basically having a little in my head moment saying, maybe you should have done more levels. Nah, you should not have done more levels. You did what you should have done, bro. Long time ago. And, you know, like I said, Gex 2 has its problems. You know? Gex 2 has its problems, but I think it's still a good time, and I feel like some of us really should. If you love Super Mario 64, right? I would recommend this game. This is probably the closest you're going to get to Super Mario 64 on the PlayStation. If you're trying to find Gex 2 on the PlayStation 1, I would get it just so you can see what it's like. And if you like the jokes Gex makes or whatever, or if you like Gex's humor, then, you know, I recommend you check it out. But I'd probably recommend emulating it, because it's probably either expensive online or you have to find it at convention. Like, these are the ways you're probably going to have to find Gex 2, okay? If you try to find Gex 2 on the PS1, it's either at certain conventions, which I don't even know which conventions they're probably at. Emulation's probably the easiest bet, but obviously it isn't super legal. And Nintendo and the people who made the game probably won't like you, but it is the easiest method. Or you can probably purchase it from a third-rate or second-rate seller that's selling it for thousands of dollars, but I wouldn't recommend that either, because why would you spend $100,000 on Gex when you could literally just, you know, either watch a playthrough of it or, you know, look up a review like this one or something to kind of get your idea of Gex 2. But again, it's the closest thing to Super Mario 64 on the PlayStation, but if you're trying to play this on N64, I wouldn't recommend it, because of all the lag, because of the missing sound effects, because of the missing dialogue Gex has, and missing music tracks as well. And sometimes the music will just flat out go out on you for some reason during gameplay. Whenever you collect an item, or you collect enough of the trinkets, suddenly the music will go out. So I definitely recommend the PS1 version of Gex 2 over the N64 one, my guy. But if you are trying to find on N64, just play Super Mario 64. It would just be a better experience all around. You know, not trying to diss Gex 2 again. I'm just saying Super Mario 64 is one of my favorites. And it's like, if you want that Super Mario 64 type experience, play that. But if you're experienced veteran at Super Mario 64 and you want like a new Super Mario 64 flavor, then probably give Gex 2 a try. Anyways, guys, let me know down below what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share the video with your friends if you guys enjoyed. God bless you. Have a good day or night whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
All right.